Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Starting with IEP. I'm Flor Amelia, and this is episode number 18. Today's episode is about newly diagnosed families, what to do first, what not to do, and how to protect your family. There's going to be a lot of call to actions embedded in this episode. But before we jump in, if this episode has helped you even a little bit, please take the second to follow, comment, and share this episode. That's how this information reaches parents who are sitting at their home right now feeling scared, overwhelmed, and unsure of what to do next. And just a quick reminder before we get started, we are running a social skills group for elementary, middle, high school, and post-high school students. And we're also getting ready to launch our IEP survival kit card set, which I'm super excited about. It's something that I've been working on months. And also we'll be hosting workshops and courses specifically for newly diagnosed families. Now, this one has been something I want to say over a year that I have been trying to release. So I am super excited. So definitely stay tuned. We're building this ecosystem for you. I do want to share that the reason that I've been wanting to share this episode specifically was because a lot of families, they are coming to us and they are telling us, oh, I wish I knew this. I wish someone told us this. Or we can't have that fault that as newly diagnosed families, we're going through this loss. So I want to encourage you guys to give yourself some grace, because that feeling that someone has hit you in your gut or stomped in your heart, or I think how I recall it, there's just so many emotions. But if I had to pick one word, I was in disbelief. I was in pure disbelief when they first told us moderately to severely intellectually disabled. How can you give a child that diagnosis? It was only 18 months. And I'm getting really emotional because I remember, I think that one hurt me more. Her first diagnosis was infantile spasms. Now that scared me. I went onto YouTube and I found so many great stories of how they overcame the diagnosis and how they are leading typical lives, how they're going to college. There was this one little girl that I remember, and she was playing the guitar. I think maybe she was like a 12-year-old, and it gave me so much hope. It gave me so much hope. Yes, seizures are scary, but at the same time, I was saying, I know a lot of people with epilepsy, and they're leading normal lives. They have jobs. It was scary, but I was like, other people do it. My daughter can too. But the other one at 18 months, that one hurt. Remembering, I'm getting so emotional. I remember, I got it through the mail, you guys. I didn't have this whole, let's review it, let's review the results. There was none of that. Even though I know in our past episodes, we were discussing about evaluations and how you should be reviewing that. But no, it was through the mail. And I really wish during that evaluation that they would have gave us a hint what we were going to get through the mail. Maybe they couldn't have given me that at that time or something. So that time was really dark. It was really dark. And yeah, and I guess I haven't overcome that time because, you know, how emotional I'm getting. And I guess it's such a raw feeling. There's some moments in Aaliyah's life and that I still feel this way. There's so many times. She had a really bad seizure yesterday and she's almost 17 and it's been difficult. I know it's normal to our family, but it's just been so hard, you guys. Because I'm like, she's almost 17 and I know to expect this when she's 20. I know to expect this when she's 30. I know to expect this when she's 40. I hope she's still with me when she's 50 and 60. And the reason why I say that is because of when I talked to her neurologist with the whole SUDA part of it. So we'll save that for another episode because right now we're trying to focus on newly diagnosed families. Basically what I was trying to get at is it's raw emotions. Post so many years, I'm still feeling really raw emotions that I had so many years ago. So I just want to make sure that we're here for you and hopefully we can build a community to help other families that are struggling, that are going through these raw emotions currently. Now, let's talk to the parents who are brand new here. So if you're listening because you just received a diagnosis or someone mentioned autism, ADHD, speech delay, learning differences, or while your child is still in your womb and you got the diagnosis that the likelihood of you having a child with Down syndrome, or your gut is telling you something is off, there's just so many different feelings about the future of your child. I want you to hear this clearly, that you're not late, you're not failing, and that you are not alone. I want to share that I met so many moms, and all of our stories are all different. Just like with our other children that don't have IEPs, all of their stories are different. So when I hang out with my special needs moms, all of our stories are so different, but all of our stories help one another. My experience helps others. Their experience helps my daughter, or their experience helps someone that I know that I can be like, hey, I need you to talk to her. And then you guys can share resources, change the world type of thing. I think the first step is just recognizing that you're not alone. And I have known that sometimes one mom reaches out to another mom and maybe she's in a dark place. You can help her get uplifted. But you also have to make sure no one is burning out your light as well. I think that's something that I'm currently working on right now. Sometimes I give too much of myself and that can be a bad thing. So let's all collaborate, work with each other, and hopefully we can do more good, right? Because what we want to do is just help one another. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not late. You are not failing. You are not alone. So let's start with the diagnosis itself. The diagnosis can feel terrifying, as I mentioned. For many families, it comes with grief, fear, guilt, or even denial. All of that, I want to share, is very normal. But here is the reframe I want you to hold on to. A diagnosis is not a label. It's actually a key. It unlocks therapies, insurance coverage. I know that may sound awful, but it will help with school supports, legal protections. And here's a powerful statistics that I want you to know. That research consistently shows that children who receive early intervention can improve outcomes by 25 to 40% in areas like communication, social skills, and adaptive functioning. So what it's trying to say is that timing actually matters. Not that it's perfect, and not saying that knowing everything is great, but it's just starting, right? It's just starting. A lot of the times I remember being like, oh my goodness, talk to this specialist and then talk to this specialist. It's like, this is too many. This is like too many specialists. It's too many appointments. But if I just booked the appointment, which sometimes can be several months out, at least I just got started. And then when I'm ready, it's already there. Or, you know what I mean? It's just, I think the point right here is just getting started. Let me say something gently, but I want to make sure that it's clear. The whole saying, let's wait and see, is one of the most harmful phrases that a parent can say or a parent can be told. A lot of the times the parents can be like, oh yeah, I was this way, or my cousin, my nephew, or the sibling was this way. They'll grow out of it. Oh no. I want to say it's better to be cautious and talk to a professional. Let's get this out of the way. Let's just make sure that we live in peace. But what if it's not? And the early intervention has been taken away to that child because of that mindset. Or also, it can come from a professional. It can come from a medical professional, because a lot of the families that are reporting, a lot of their pediatricians are saying to them that, oh, he's a boy. Boys be boys. They run first. They're more active, and their speech will come later. Or they're much more behavioral compared to the girls. And then once the parents hear that, they delay the whole early intervention. Having that mindset that let's just wait and see, but if they would have got services months earlier, they would have had all those additional services teaching the family how to help their child with new vocabulary, like different sounds. Because I don't know if you guys knew, but there are different sounds that a child by the age of X, they make these sounds. I remember when I first did the early intervention as a parent, they're like, oh, we need to work on these sounds first because those are the sounds that an X age makes. So having early intervention come in and helping me teach my child and giving me lessons, that was one of the best things. I do want to share that studies show that up to 30% of children with developmental delays are not identified early, even though signs were present before the age of 3. And when early intervention is delayed, children often need more intensive services later. Gaps become harder to close, which makes the parents experience a much more higher stress and burnout rate. So on the flip side, children who receive early intervention often require less intensive special education later. Skills generalize more naturally. Families feel more empowered sooner. So actually, I was kind of nervous. I was like, what if they think I'm that mom? I guess I've just been hearing too many stories that it can go south really quickly. For those of you that are thinking, what if I am overreacting? I want you to know that you're far more likely to underreact than overreact. So please keep that in mind. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, I have been waiting and seeing, I need to react. Or you're like, yeah, something in my gut is telling me I'm not right. One of the most confusing parts early on is, who am I supposed to call? So I really do want to simplify this. First, please start with your pediatrician. But if you don't have a strong relationship with your pediatrician, or if you feel they don't have good bedside manners, please ask other families. Which pediatrician do you like? Do they have good bedside manners? Which one do you recommend? Because I promise you, they are so important. They are so important in your child's life. Please find the right one. Not all medical professionals are understanding of special needs parents. Maybe they would be good for other children, but for special needs parents, I want to say they have to be very patient and they have to be very compassionate. And so I want to say we've been very fortunate when we moved here to Maryland, our very first try, which actually I asked a parent, actually. I did ask a mom. Like, who's your pediatrician? Oh, that's the one. That's the one. And my daughter first saw them when she was 3, and she still sees them at 17. Oh my goodness. Now I have to talk to other families and be like, who is your adult specialist? Who is your primary? Who do you like for your children that are now adults? Hopefully we can stay there forever. That's not the case. So I'm going to be asking other families for that. But yes, we definitely love ours. And I want to say that they have helped us so much with different reports that we have to write to. They have been such a great liaison between our specialists and them, and also the school, and getting things together. They've just been such a blessing, because I definitely know if I didn't have a close relationship with my daughter's pediatric team, then I would have been much more stressed than I am today. And I'm always stressed because I'm a mom of 5, but still, it could have been very different for me. But I don't want you to stop there. You don't stop at your pediatrician, but depending on your child's needs, referrals may be needed. So the next one that I definitely tell families, do you have a good developmental pediatrician? So this is more for autism, global developmental delays, and very complex profiles. Another one that definitely you should keep in your books or keep on a lookout for a good provider is a psychologist or a neuropsychologist. This is for ADHD, learning disabilities, and also so you can get these cognitive assessments. Neurologists, definitely needed for seizures, motor concerns, or brain-based issues. Definitely need a speech pathologist for speech, language, feeding, and social communication, occupational therapist for sensory processing, fine motor, daily living skills, a physical therapy for gross motor delays. Do not wait for school to diagnose first. Medical and educational systems are separate. A lot of the times, I really do want to encourage that you guys do not wait for the school to say something. I understand that your child is in school half of the time, but don't wait for them to be diagnosing it first, because they don't diagnose. Or for them to tell you, hey, I have my suspicions on so and please, no. Because medical and educational systems are very much separate, but they both matter, but they're both separate. Now, I want to talk about infants and toddlers, but they're very much separate. You really start the school system when your child is 3. But if your child is under the age of 3, this part is huge because you can get early intervention right there. So your child would qualify for early intervention through the Infants and Toddlers Program. And this is what leads to the IFSP, which is called the Individualized Family Service Plan. And here's what families often don't realize is that the IFSP services are family-centered. They often happen in your home and the natural environment. I know sometimes families don't have time to go or, this, but what's so nice is that they come to your home. You don't have to drive them anywhere. That doesn't start yet. So please, and they will bring their own materials to give you ideas, but they will also use what the child already has access to in their homes. And she was like, do you have an egg carton? I was like, yes. And then she was like, do you want to bring it out here? And I was like, okay. And she just put little toys in there. It was more for Leah to practice on requesting open and close. So she would put it in there, but she would put like different items in each of the little tiny holes inside the carton. And she would have to say open and close and open. And I was like, oh, wow, something that we typically use every day. that Aaliyah sees every day that we can just use. And then I remember once she was like, do you have a shoebox? I remember I said no, but guess what? I bought shoes just to get a shoebox because I wanted to see what she said. And I know she could have told me, but I was like, I want to see it in action. Don't worry, Aaliyah needed shoes, like newer shoes. It'll just be something that we just get sooner rather than later. And I love this one. So from the shoebox, she cut a little hole in the middle, and then she would put like things inside. So Aaliyah would have to like put inside and then just grab things outside. So she was telling me that she was expanding her curiosity, also developing like imagination play in there. Ooh, I wonder what you're gonna get. Are you gonna get a boat? Are you gonna get a duck? And what was it? I remember, I think once she put something really sticky and she was like, oh, and then she had to open it. So it's something scary. But just also like for her to feel different items. And then there was like, do you feel something soft? Do you feel something hard? I remember during that time, I was like, oh, I love this. I love this. I think sometimes as providers, we think that the parents know this. No, parents are exhausted. What may come easy to providers for us is like, we're just so exhausted. We can't even think. Give us ideas. I'm not going to speak for all the families, but that's definitely how I felt, and definitely how the families that we support, how they feel. And then sometimes they were like, how can I come up with this ideas? And I'm like, oh, I completely understand. You're just needing support and we're here to help. Very grateful. I really wish I would have kept more in contact with them, because I want to say during our lowest point in our lives, they definitely lifted up our spirits. Thank you. For all of those of you who are working in the infants and toddlers program, you guys are making a difference. Everyone is, but definitely during a really hard time in a parent's life. So thank you. During those visits, I want to say that parents are definitely the participants. They do not allow us to observe. Actually, no, let me take that back. They do allow us to observe, but they definitely expect us to participate, which I was 100% okay with, because I wanted to do everything, because I knew they were only going to be here for a little bit of time. And then the rest of the time I needed to make sure that I help Aaliyah catch up to her peers. Did you know that national data shows that children who enter into the preschool system with an IFSP transition more smoothly into an IEP, because they come with clear data, established services, and there's fewer delays that occur? So one of the things that I want you to do as an action step is that I want you to Google infants and toddlers program, and then I want you to put your county's name there. I don't know if you guys know, but you can be a self-referrer. You do not need a doctor's referral. And what I want you to do is to ask specifically about IFSP and transition planning. What I don't want you guys to do, I don't want you guys to wait until the age of 3. Don't assume that the school will automatically step in. Don't minimize concerns because your child is young. Please don't do that. Also know that the school system, most likely, they are just so overwhelmed. I'm telling you, it's really bad. I've been doing so many like classroom observations that I'm leaving those classrooms in shock. I'm leaving those classrooms feeling so sad. There's too many students in that classroom. There's some teachers though that they're just done. They're done. They're already checked out. They're burnt out. They can't wait to be out on this winter break. You can see it in their face, how tired they are, how burnt out they are. So please, you don't want your child to go into a system that already has their teachers burnt out already. You want to make sure that they start the school year, start the system on a good foot. Now let's talk about Child Find, because this is one of the most misunderstood and powerful tools that a parent can have. I don't know if you guys know, but Child Find is a federal mandate under the IDEA. So what that means is that schools are required legally to identify, they need to locate, and they need to evaluate your children who may need special education services. You can definitely refer your child even if they don't have an IFSP in place. And you do not need a diagnosis to start. Because many of the times, a lot of the families are like, oh, I can't go to Child Find yet because my child doesn't have dyslexia, or my child doesn't have an official SLP to give them the diagnosis of speech delay. So I know that's also like one of the things that a lot of the families, they feel that they cannot do on their own because they don't have a referral. But that is not the case here. You can definitely do a self-referral, because if you have that gut feeling that there's something off with your child. So the process looks like this. You or a teacher can do the referral. The evaluation comes next, and that is within the legal timelines of the states/county. There's an eligibility determination, and then there's the setup of an IEP development if they are found eligible. So I want to share a little facts. About 15% of U.S. students receive special education services, but experts estimate many more qualify and are never evaluated. Actually, that fact scares me a lot, that there are many more that qualify, but they are never evaluated. So please don't assume that your child isn't struggling enough. That's not the legal standard there. The standard is, does your child need specialized instruction to access education? That's something that we need to more focus on. Oh, but they're struggling too much or not struggling as much. Again, does your child need specialized instruction to access education? That's something that you need to focus on. A lot of the times I have conversations with families and they're like, Flor, if I don't do their homework with them, they will fail. They will absolutely fail. And then they stress out because the parents go to work all day, child goes to school all day, and they come home. And not saying that, of course, you should help your children, but for them to be up with their child up until 10, 11, close to midnight, helping them do their homework. Oh, the struggle is real in high school. Those stories that I hear, definitely hear the struggle there. But that to me sounds like they need specialized instruction, right? So please make sure that they don't struggle. I have a family friend that their 5-year-old is really struggling. The teachers are giving them some sight words and they're really struggling there. They're really struggling with their B's and D's and they're freaking out. And I'm so proud of them, from them to reach out Child Find to see. The teacher isn't saying anything. The teacher's actually saying, oh, you'll catch up. You'll catch up. Girls are much faster at grasping these things than the boys are. But I'm so proud of the mom. The mom is like, it's already like halfway through kindergarten and they're about to go to first grade. They want to make sure that their child feels successful. So I'm glad for that mom to go ahead and went to Child Find and make sure that the child feels supported going on to first grade. So proud of that mom. So now we're going on to the segment that I want to talk to you about something that we don't discuss enough, and that is the impact on families. We were just talking about how much the family is working, and then afterwards, of course, we should definitely help our children with school, but we have to realize like how much is too excessive, that we need to make sure that we have the school helping them if they haven't been receiving that specialized instruction. I do want to share that research shows that parents of children with disabilities report significantly higher stress levels. Don't I know it? Don't I know this? You guys know this, right? You guys that are listening, you guys know this. Families without support network experience a greater emotional exhaustion. Marriages, the stress increases when parents feel isolated or unsupported. There are some studies that show higher divorce rates among families navigating disabilities without that adequate support. But here's the most important part, is that strong support systems dramatically reduce that risk. Okay, I'm going to share something, you guys, and please don't judge. I have friends. I know the way I said it. I have friends. I have a lot of work friends. The people that I work with, I consider them friends. But actually today, I just realized I consider them work friends. There was one of my coworkers. She was like, I want to chat. And I'm like, sure, let's chat. And then she was like, can we talk on the 25th and the 31st? I was like, oh, really? Those are like really busy days for me. I was like, is there any other non-holidays? Because she's really busy too. I completely understand why she requested that. And then I was like, oh, I can't. Like, there's specific times that she can. I was like, I can't. It's like, it's really hard to fit in my schedule. And then she was like, something work related. It's just more about us. And I'm not used to that. I just realized I'm not really used to that. I'm used to work relationships. And then she was just worried about my marriage. No. Don't worry, you guys. Everything was good. I think she just overanalyzed something that I said. I think I told Sean I don't want to fight. And I think the way I said it, oh, it's because someone installed a TV and they left it cracked. And I was like, I don't want to fight, but you should have done this and X and Y and Z. And then maybe how I said it, I guess she was just worried for me and him because she knows that we go through under a lot of stress. But I think it's because I'm a special needs mom that I just don't have time to carry on real friendships, or not that my work friendships are not real, but anything outside of autism or anything outside of disabilities. Not that I don't know how to carry on a conversation, you guys. Promise I do, or I can. But all I care about are how to make our community stronger, better. And when I mean our community, the special needs community, that's all I really care about. I live and breathe it. I'm working and I'm supporting our families, and I'm home and I'm supporting my own family. And then I just keep on doing it every single day, 7 days a week. So for her to be not related about work, and she was just really caring about me. I was like, oh my goodness. I know you guys, maybe that's just too much information, but it was nice. It was really nice. I saw a blessing today. That was such a beautiful blessing. And she was just checking in on me. And I'm like, I'm not used to that. I do have my special needs mom friends that we do check in on each other a lot. And we do check in on each other. But it's about our kids, right? This one, she was just checking on me because she was just concerned about my marriage with Sean. And then something that I shared with her was every 2 years, Sean used to go on deployments. And that was hard on us. That was really hard on us. And he just retired. Like I shared in our first episode, he retired. 22 years of service. Thank you, Sean. He just retired, I want to say like in October. So our family is adjusting to the non-military life. So I don't know. I was telling her, being in a military family, but also being a special needs family, I'm actually very surprised that we're still together because the odds are very high. And then I put my thoughts together and I'm like, no, it does make sense why we're still together, because family is important for us, especially him. He's definitely a family man. Definitely a family man. So I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate to have a strong support system. But that really does scare me about like the higher risk. And I remember, actually, it was my daughter's neurologist. I remember once she was just talking to me. I think Aaliyah was 5 or 6, and she was like, how are you and Sean doing? And I was like, fine. We're talking about Aaliyah here. And no, I wasn't that rude, but in my head I was like, fine. At that time, I actually thought that she preferred Sean going to the medical appointments more than me. Maybe he was easier to talk to because I tend to ask question. So I don't know. I think in my head I was like, oh, you prefer him more than me. Things like that. Sorry. Maybe too much information again. But no, I remember that's when she told me that families tend to have a harder time because they're a special needs family, especially if they're also medically fragile. So she was just checking in on me. So that was really nice. That was really nice that the medical provider reached out and gave me that awareness. I think that awareness helped me make sure that if I'm not having a good day, that I just need to collect myself and separate. Maybe that would be the best thing for everybody. And definitely the support systems that I've been going to since Aaliyah was 3, that has also helped. So do you have a strong support system? Because please know, again, it dramatically reduces a lot of different risks. Support groups, education, and advocacy, what it does is that it improves the parental mental health. They strengthen the partnerships, and also it reduces the burnout. And that's why we emphasize community so much. I do want to pause for a second and share something really important really quickly. I actually forgot to share it, so I'm so sorry. We've created visual guides and tools that break down the relationship between IFSP and IEP, how child find works, your confidentiality and consent rights, and what happens at each stage of the process. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, these resources will help you see the process instead of guessing it. This is also exactly why we're developing our IEP Survival Kit card set, so parents can access clear step-by-step guidance without digging through the legal jargon. Now we're moving towards our do's for parents that are newly diagnosed. So the do's are that you really do need to remember to document everything. You need to ask these questions early. Please write them down so you don't forget. You need to request evaluations in writing. Please remember to trust those instincts of yours. You need to build support group systems, and also ask for help. Ask for help. Look for those providers. But what you shouldn't do, please don't do, is wait for the school to initiate it. Because remember I told you, the school themselves are burnt out. There's just too many students in a classroom, too many students in general, especially if you live in a good county, a good, decent one, or one that's recognized. Other counties, they're moving to that county that they do see it as a better service for special education. There's so many more students coming there, and not everyone is going to be treated fairly or equally. Please do not assume that professionals know your child best. Please do not compare your child to others. Do not carry this alone. And I don't want you guys to have that fear to delay the action. If you take nothing else from today's episode, please take this. Early action protects your child. Education protects your family. And community protects your mental health. Oh my goodness, sorry. I got emotional there because community has definitely protected my mental health. You're like, oh, Flor, you're so emotional. I'm going through all these feelings. The support groups that I've been in have definitely helped. I want to say church has helped me so much. And I want to say, I think it was in that episode, I was having such a hard time. You guys do know that typically I'm supposed to have these interviews, which I do. I have interviews set up soon. I will start doing them again. But I've been struggling, you guys. I've been really struggling. Maybe in the future episodes, I'll share why I'm struggling, or because I want to say how I'm feeling. I know I'm not the only one. I talk to other special needs moms and they're feeling the same way. They're just so depleted. There's nothing left. So we definitely need to look for communities, which, by the way, I am going to be developing virtual communities, but I prefer in person. So we're going to have at the center here in Kensington, Maryland, we're going to have in-person parent support groups. I want it at each different level. I want to have it at early intervention. I want to have during the middle school years when their child is changing with their hormones, and then in high school getting ready for adulthood. I want different support groups at different levels. I think we're just going to get through this together, you guys. Together. Sorry if I got so emotional. Today is just, I've just been carrying a lot and it'll get better. But I do want to share that you're doing the right thing by learning, by listening, and by showing up for your children. Please don't forget to follow, like, comment, and share this episode, especially if you're a parent who is just starting this journey. And please don't forget, we offer social skill groups for our elementary, middle school, high school, and post-high school students. Our IEP survival kit card set is coming out soon. I'm super excited for those. And also we'll be launching our workshop and courses for our newly diagnosed parents. You're not alone. You never have to figure this out by yourself. I'll see you on the next episode.